into the south central part of the country. Get temperatures throughout the entire, throughout Arkansas, Louisiana. They're in the 80s and 90s. In Oklahoma, temperatures are in the 70s to upper 80s. In Texas, the Panhandle, they are in the 70s to mid 80s, but throughout the rest of the Lone Star State, temperatures are in the 80s to mid 90s. Then we have the Ohio Valley, where temperatures overall, they actually are variable, though on the northern side, like near the Great Lakes region, temperatures are in the 70s to mid 80s. But going down to the Ohio River in Kentucky, temperatures are in the 80s to low 90s. So, Wild and Lily. So, what? Just a curiosity. What do you guys? You guys have any plans for this weekend? I mean, you don't have to answer if you don't want to. That's fine. Let's take a look. The Great Lakes region, you have on the north side, like the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and the northern half of the Lower Peninsula. Temperatures are in the upper 50s to upper 60s. Wisconsin and lower southern half of Lower Michigan. Temperatures are in the 70s to mid 80s. Then in the Dakotas and Minnesota, temperatures there. They actually are in the upper 50s to mid 70s. Then going down to the Missouri River Valley. Yeah, throughout much of the region, they are in the 60s and 70s, except for much of Missouri, where much of Missouri temperatures are still in the 80s and low 90s because you have a cold front that it's bringing in cold air throughout the Great Plains and parts of Iowa. Then we go to the Rocky Mountains. You get temperatures throughout the entirety of the region. They are actually range from the upper 60s to mid 80s. And we work our way towards the Great Basin. Temperatures are in the 60s and 70s throughout Colorado, Utah. Temperatures are quite variable. They range from 73 in Logan and Vernal to 93 in St. George. Now for this weekend, apparently it's going to be rainy this weekend, maybe next weekend. I see. Yeah, I'll talk about the weekend weather, wild, Lee Coyote. I'll get to that in just a few moments. In Nevada, temperatures are in the 70s and 80s. The desert Southwest, temperatures there. Hold on a minute, let me get myself comfortable. Hold on a minute. There we go. Okay. The desert Southwest. See, in the northern part of the desert Southwest, temperatures are in the 70s to 80s, 70s and 80s. In the southern half, temperatures are in the 80s and 90s. We go to California, you get temperatures throughout the coast. They are in the 60s and 70s, but in the Bay Area, they are in the 80s. Indio's at 80, and the Central Valley of California, they actually range from the low 80s to upper 90s, depending on where's the cold air and such. But anyway, we'll get to that in just a second because I do have some things that I just realized. In the Pacific Northwest, you have temperatures that are in the 70s to low 80s in Oregon, 68 in Seattle to 79 in Trail, and 84 in Yakima and Spokane. Gusts. Plenty of strong gusts to go around, with wind gusts are as high as 30 to 40 miles an hour throughout the Dakotas and Nebraska, and just a few places up to 40 miles an hour in Oklahoma and Arkansas, and a few places in Texas and parts of Nevada and Oregon and California. Though in northern California and the coastal part of Oregon, winds could be as wind gusts are as fast as like 40 to 50 miles an hour there, but mostly offshore. And in the Adirondacks, wind gusts are up to 30 to 40 miles an hour, but in your area, wild, not much though. I mean, you could consider yourself lucky, but temperature-wise, in my definition, I would consider that as quite chilly. But in your area, I would say, well, that's as much as you can get in terms of warmth at this time. Let's take a look at the humidity. So, where's the humidity? Well, it's quite humid in South Florida. Very humid throughout places like Kansas City, Joplin, Topeka, Omaha, Pierre, and all the way to Bismarck and Fargo. And also, northern Wisconsin and east central Minnesota, and the northern half of the lower peninsula, Michigan. And, and let's not forget about some places in Southern California. And now let's check on the rainfall accumulation. So, rainfall could be as much as up to an inch or two in some places throughout the central to upper Mississippi Valley in the Dakotas. And in Southern California, it could be as much as up to 3 inches of rain in some places right near Bakersfield, north of LA. And a few places just outside of Phoenix of up to 2 inches of snow. Oh, rain. I'm sorry. Rain. Why do I keep saying snow? Regardless, this is just an estimate, folks. But do check on your local officials and your local weather office for actual rainfall accumulation and gusts and wind speed and direction, for which it is quite dynamic, meaning that sometimes it could be off, even when it's estimated to be about, let's say, for example, 2 inches of rain, but it would sometimes be either an inch or 3 inch or whatever. Actual amounts matter. Wait, snow? What? Yeah, no, too soon, Wildly Coyote. So far, the temperatures have not reached below freezing in many places, but I'll keep an eye out. But regardless, if there is like a lot of moisture, but temperatures that are considered below freezing, even in elsewhere throughout the atmosphere, even in places where it's barely above freezing, well, there could be a chance of snow. But right now, I'm not seeing much. Let's take a look at the upper level winds. Before we do that, I do want to point out what's going on right now. Or rather, go to the Eastern Pacific. Yeah, this is not what I had in mind, actually. Yeah, because from what I know is that there was something about Mario in the Eastern Pacific. But regardless, I'm just going to have to take a look real quick. So there is an area of wet weather that's in Southern California. Let me see. Okay, so these are the upper level winds. I mean, it's not every day that you get to see any system. Okay, so this is so this was this tropical system that came from the Eastern Pacific, coming from near Mexico. Then it started past just before Monday. Then it worked its way as a hurricane, but then downgraded into a tropical storm because the waters in the Pacific, right near Baja California and California, they happen to be chilly and colder, which tends to suppress the strength that the hurricane has. So, in other words, that tends to be your best friend. You know, the colder the water, the more the hurricane tends to weaken. But even that didn't do much to weaken its power to, let's say, flood the Southwest and Southern California. And yet, as of today, and let's see, pretend this is right now. Yeah, there's been wet weather throughout parts of the desert Southwest and California. All of that has led to some wet weather, which doesn't really happen in places like Southern California. But in the desert Southwest, they do, but it's only monsoon season. But in places like LA and San Diego, right in those metropolitan areas, they don't get much rain. They don't get as much as like probably barely a tenth of an inch of rain, or maybe just once. Let's say probably barely as much as like probably almost around 25 centimeters, probably around almost 25 millimeters. Wildly Cayenne. But anyway, regardless, we do have a trough that's over California, but yet it's bringing in plenty of moisture into places like Southern California, Arizona, and parts of the desert, and parts of the Great Basin. Another trough is located over the Great Plains and the ridge over Utah. Another ridge over the Ohio Valley and the southern part of the Great Lakes region, and mini weak-looking trough that's flat-looking trough that's over New England. What does this mean? Plenty of wet weather to go around in the Great Plains and upper Mississippi Valley, desert Southwest, and some pop-up storms in the south. Then we move on to 24 hours, where a trough moves in over the Dakotas and Minnesota, and there's going to be a ridge over Colorado, and it barely looks like a trough to me over Nevada, and a ridge, it's going to be over the Ohio Valley, and trough just way up north of Maine. What does this mean? There could be some storms that'll occur throughout the mid to upper Mississippi Valley, plus possibly your area wild. So I guess that kind of explains your predicament this weekend. There's a ridge located just north of Washington State. Then we move on to Saturday night, where there's going to be a trough just sitting there over the Dakotas, Minnesota, and your area wild. And there's also going to be a ridge over the desert Southwest, and as well as Montana. Hold on a minute. Alright, I'm back. There's going to be another ridge over Montana. and another one over Lake Ontario, and a